This is Water Elemental.
And this is Axis, and we are here today to talk about the League of Legends. It's an ongoing show. We talk a little bit about everyone's favorite MOBA-style battle game. We have some interesting news this week. We have a lot more information about the champion, formerly known as Lucian. We have some new screenshots of him, some possible previews and stuff like that. There's some summer sales on RP going on. You can get bonus RP for a limited amount of time. Yorick is possibly getting an update to his skills to make him more competitive in the late game and less dominant in the early game. And finally, there's some red posts and other matters regarding some certain champions and some updates that we'll be going over.
You sound so calm today. It's not the normal energy. You're just like, hello, this is League Chat.
It's late! What do you want from me?
I'm going to sip on some tea and talk about the politics. In Runeterra today.
Coming to you on Saturday at 5. You already got new skills. Sledgehammer, sledgehammer, sledgehammer. Ghouls attack from the tri-section.
Is that better or worse?
Better.
So Lucian, we got a picture of him.
And kind of some like backstory. Like 2 paragraphs, which is really weird.
It's actually kind of weird. Normally they've been really kind of concise with the past few champions where they're like, here's a picture of him. All right, here's the champion. There's all the skills.
Or they like lead up. End of the week, there it is. Like
and this one's kind of in between, which I'm not really sure I like. We don't know anything about his skills yet.
We know he has rock guns that look like they taped hilts to them from like a bad like Chinese like gun toy.
However, they did give us one little preview. Is that I believe they said his W is a skill shot, and it involves him throwing his guns. So I don't know why you wouldn't just shoot harder, but I guess if you want to chuck them at people,
the gun brains.
That's your deal. I'm not gonna get mad at you.
What is it like when they run out of like ammo in movies? They like throw the guns aside instead. He's like, I'm out of ammo. Just throws the guns right at their faces. Just goes
like
at their
Superman.
eyes.
You shoot Superman. You run out of ammo. You throw the gun at him, and he dodges. He takes the bullets, but he dodges the gun.
Dude, the gun is made out of kryptonite.
Of course.
Don't you know?
It's a solid kryptonite.
But now he's not the gun Templar anymore. What do they call him now? Is it the gun?
He's like the I am
purifist or pacifist or
something goofy.
Purist or something like.
Yeah, purist I believe is something akin to that.
Okay.
Let's take a look before we sound too much like a jackass.
The Purifier. Why do I keep thinking of the pacifist? Lucian, the pacifist on the battlefield.
The purister. Yes, this is pure extraction. But so far, it looks like he's going to be a ranged character. I mean, that much is obvious. And with the way he's set up, this is something we mentioned last week. Not last week, but a couple episodes ago, we were talking about
139, 140,
something like that. But we were talking about how he might have, like switching between dark and light to do different effects, and maybe utilizing AP and AD and sort of a hybrid setup. That's maybe not something we're used to, but with all the new changes to the ability power and attack speed items, it would not surprise me at all if this guy was
a very ranged heavy.
That could make use of these new AP attack speed items, which would make those changes to those specific items make much more sense.
It'd be cool. Bring something new and unique, kind of like some new builds, maybe leading up to some new items that involve more, AP attack speed, and bringing out some more types of champions.
And either way, this guy looks like a crazy guy. He's a young man. Well, he actually looks like he's in his middle age, and he's
brooding.
He is a person of darker skin.
Wait, hold on. There's a black guy in League again?
I guess so.
Maybe Tarek might get his color back. He might be like, I don't have to blend in anymore. Clicks one of like his 1,000 gems and it clicks a button. And just like colors back, and he's like, it's good to be back, brother. Gems, brother! Before we get too out of control, we're going to move on to our next topic here. Yorick, they've been really hammering out the fact that Yorick doesn't feel like he should, and they're trying to rebalance him in many different ways, as we mentioned earlier. And they have a few screenshots of skills that they're going to try to
potentially
test out. These are not official. These are just stuff on the PBE that people are testing to see what works, what doesn't work. And these are some things we're going to talk about, what we like, what we don't like.
Yeah, so they've gone through a couple of skill sets, by the way, guys, and these are all very tentative. These are barely even examples at this point. But there's been a couple of different builds that they've put out. One of them focuses less on having ghouls with identities and more as having them as sort of resources. You know, your ghouls move towards targets based on what you paint them with your abilities. You get jumps and boosts, all focused on making him a ranged character with this really kind of disturbing, like, zombies get him ult.
Kind of like they have ghosts passively around him, and depending on what his skills do.
Yeah, and they block and protect him and all kinds of stuff. It's really cool.
And it's like 3 names. There's Inky, Stinky.
Well, no, that's the Inky Stinky Mulch is.
Oh, that's the second.
This
one.
is the second.
Oh, I thought we were going down the list. Okay.
So the next one, yes, that's the Inky Stinky Mulch. This one gives the ghoul sort of an identity. And why don't you tell them a little about this one?
So his passive is like Unholy Convent, and what it kind of does is it gives each one of the ghosts that are summoned by his like passive abilities on each of his attacks a different character. Like Inky gives movement speed, Stinky gives attack damage, Mulch gives lifesteal, and ghouls gain a certain amount of attack damage based on their level. So kind of depending on what skills you level up, the ghost gets better.
Cool. So it looks like from the way this build is, when you put a point into an ability, Q through R, you get a new ghoul.
Well, it looks like it's passively when you get the skill, they just pop up.
Right.
And then, depending on what you do with the skill, they might just like kind of activate and come at someone, and then kind of fade
And it
back.
looks like if you manage to keep these ghouls alive, it also gives the abilities more abilities. So, for instance, some of them give him a little bit more move speed. Others cause stuff to explode and sort of give you a slowing effect. And then another one gives you sort of a long-range attack with some cool stuff. This is culminated in his ult, which basically allows you to send your ghouls over to an ally or to an enemy, which lets you do lots and lots of damage to them, or kind of protects an ally with sort of a shield. So basically this will make him sort of an intense support.
like an AD Orianna.
Yeah, kind of, which I think would be really cool. I mean, Orianna, she's great, and they nerf her, and then they bring her up, because they're just not sure what to do with her. So it might be kind of a tough spot to put Yorick in, but it'll definitely be a unique spot to put him.
Ravage.
And he's already got a unique spot, so who knows? Yeah. This could help. Then they did a third build, and this has ghouls of a different name. They do slightly different effects. Basically, in this third build, the ghouls kind of show up after a certain amount of time. You don't have to spec into them, but they have different abilities, and these are mostly focused on a passive. They don't give you weird stuff, but they get a lot more statistics out of what you put into Yorick. These will allow you to activate your ghouls and sort of send them forward at a much quicker pace, and makes them a lot more... you can just sort of throw them away. You don't have to worry too much about it. But these focus more on giving you like gap closers and sort of causing the same explosion, but making it much more intense and making the ghoul apply the effect as well. This will give you a good slow and a range slow if you're good with it. And then finally, his ult actually summons a lot of zombies rather than having them go and focus on someone. Yorick just summons a bunch of them, and they just all go and they go crazy and they start killing everybody on the field, almost akin to your favorite.
Yeah, I was just about to say Dirge.
Yeah, so it'll be Dirge-like because you summon hundreds of these ghouls.
That's always like, just like, hey, you're gonna fight me? How about me and my bros? And just like 1,000 of them pop up.
A tombstone and 21 zombies pop up. They're like, hey, I'm gonna eat your face now. But either way, all three of these builds have been fairly interesting, but none of them are final. They're all tentative, and this has really mostly been put out so the community can sort of bounce ideas off this and be like, hey, this is what I think about this, and this is what I think about that. Overall, it's a very interesting exercise, and I'm curious to see what the end product will be. These are 3 tentative builds, and we're not sure what's going to come off.
I'm really excited. Yorick does feel like a ghostly type champion, but having him more as like a necromancer or something like that kind of makes me excited, because I always love having that guy. It's like, I'm just going to bring a bunch of undead friends, and it's just going to be a scary time when you fight me.
You see, I like build number 2 because it gives him some support elements, which I think will really help with the problem he's been having of not really fitting into a team comp and only being a lane bruiser. If they give him some support abilities and some good solid CC, I think that'll really make him.
Yeah, because he doesn't really have CC, and
all he has is that range slow, which is good. I mean, it's a blind range slow that gives you vision.
Yeah,
which is not bad on a fighter.
No, but a lot of people I talk to at work and stuff, because a lot of people at my new job actually play League of Legends stuff like vigorously. And when we were sitting there, I was telling them about this. They're like, "Well, the big problem with Yorick is his ultimate's so situational. And it's not like, in most cases, you're like, okay, I have to hold this off until someone dies so we can have some more infinite.
Well, not necessarily.
In most cases, that's what they were telling me. But I use it in every fight. Like, when there's a fight, I bring out either hit the AD carry or the melee or jungler. So we have another bruiser that's dealing damage. And it's like,
Exactly.
if you have an AD carry, he's going to be taking the stats of the AD carry's auto attacks. You're just...
I mean, it's basically comparing one ult to another, because really it's essentially a copy of Mordekaiser's ult, except you get the effect on the front end rather than the tail end, and you can cast it on an ally.
And then if that happens, you get a small Zillion effect where they get to come back temporarily.
Yes, and to me, replicating my AD carry, it's a pretty good ult.
Oh, yeah.
It's a pretty good ult. But moving on to another fighter, Olaf was talked about a lot in a particular discussion about 2v1 lanes. This has been coming up a lot, especially with the tournament going on, is lane swapping. The support and AD combo go top, or they go bot, and they switch around, and it really messes with the melee carry there, and it's kind of pushing out a lot of these AD carries, or not AD carries, but rather AD fighters.
Out of the meta.
They can't really compete with that. They can't CS, they don't get much farm, and they're easy to kill. So Morello is talking about ways to sort of address that, and a lot of it has been talking about maybe making melee more viable, straight melee rather than gap closing melee. And so there's not a whole lot of talk about what he can do, but the main thing he's talking about is maybe making it less rewarding to lane swap.
Kind of decrease, kind of have like a slight statistic in the back of the game saying, hey, the longer you're in there, the kind of like it'll let you steadily receive experience at a better rate, and if you swap, you kind of have to rebuild that kind of like backwards charge or something like that. That would be something interesting, but the problem would be everyone would be like, well, that's not right. You should have to be able to walk into a lane and steal stuff. What about the jungler? So, but it's one of those things where the game's getting or dictated by the metagame again, and just because some of the pro players are doing these lane swapping things, it's becoming dominant. Everybody else that doesn't play like this heavy hardcore mode are getting pushed out of playing their champions.
Yes, I mean, you get characters like Kayle, Vlad, Jace, Elise. These characters do fine. I mean, top lane's not a death sentence, but if you're playing a melee character, it's just harder to CS, and that's one of the issues they're wanting to address.
Yeah, like Zed definitely has one of those problems.
Well, Zed, see, he can CS from afar very easily, so it's not too big an issue for him, especially since he can burst people down.
Yeah, he can burst people down, but the thing I always see when it comes down to it is he's still got a range character and thing, so no matter how long he can sit there, even though he has the energy, he's sitting there, he's throwing, he's still just going to get outpoked and out-harassed. So he's always going to be forced to kind of, swap with the shadow and stuff like that, trying to keep moving. But it's just, he's not going to be able to keep it up. It's a sustained fight, that's what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, if it's bad for Zed, imagine how bad it is for characters like Darius or Garen, or Olaf in this case.
Yeah.
One of the things they were talking about Olaf is they recently changed his kit, and they removed some of his bonuses in light of the item changes, and they're talking about bringing some of that back, maybe making him have a little bit more fun to his active elements, because a lot of his abilities are just sort of passive, or walk up, hit them once, it doesn't scale, it deals damage to you. It's kind of boring, it's kind of flat, and doesn't allow him to extend too far into the late game, despite his passive being amazing. So, trying to work that around, make him a little more interesting. We'll see what comes of that.
And finally, for some of the more interesting red posts, we're having a summer sale going on right now where you get extra bonus RP when you buy a certain amount of RP.
I remember they did this once, didn't they?
They do this every now and again. It's kind of like they do it before sales and stuff like that.
They double the amount of bonus RP you get.
So there's the chart down there in our description bar stuff, so take a look, see if you're interested in buying anything. Nothing for if you buy $5 if you're a cheapskate.
Well, nothing for $2.50. I mean. Oh, right.
Yeah, $5.
I'm looking at the European ones, because I live in Europe, I guess.
Apparently we're European now.
I'm not very smart.
I want to know the guy that's blowing $100 on RP, because that's like, you get essentially $20 more, or how much you get plus 2,000? So that's about $15 more RP if you play.
Still, I mean, that's the long haul right there.
That's dedication. And then all of a sudden the game goes bad, and you're like, what do I do with all this RP?
I have a lot of RP just sitting on my account waiting for a skin I like to come out, because they have been so light on skins lately.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard for me to get motivated about this sale.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to like Udyr skin, but at the same time, it's like, you're not giving me any other option right now. I wonder if that's their long haul strategy. It's just like, just make them bored and buy every skin that comes out at this point.
It might work. Hey, who knows? That's it for official news this week, guys. We're going to be moving on to our own section. We got one really good question this week. We talked about it a little bit at length. comes from Monkey Manor. He says, what are your thoughts on getting a skin for a champion based on playing a lot of games with them? Kind of like the gold skins in Smite. Actually, I played a little bit of Smite.
It was fun back in beta because you and I played it for a bit.
Oh yeah, no, I always have problems with the Unreal Engine, but I like the game a lot. It was very interesting. Not something I would play long term, but it certainly had a lot of interesting ideas to it, and I certainly appreciated that.
I kind of like the fact that it's based on gods, but at the same time you're kind of limited to the champion select and kind of how the skills will run. Because like if you want to be true to the characters, you've got to be true to the lore, and you got to have skills reflected. But anyways. Going to the skin section, I think that is a great idea. Think about it this way. You're promoting the fact that if you play a lot of characters, you can get a skin for it. Well, maybe you want to collect as many of those skins as you can. People buy more skins or buy more characters. And until then, they buy skins to play to get those skins. So it's kind of like the play well, get more stuff. They'll have to spend RP to buy more champions. And when a new champion comes out, I want the cool alternate skin for that. Giving a reward for people to come back and start playing again.
I mean, there's always been a little bit of customization element to MOBAs. I mean, even going back to Aeon Strife, occasionally you would get a character, that had a different name than normal. There's a pool of names they'd pull from, and that'll always make you feel special when you got a special name for one of your characters. And that's continued with a couple other ones. Smite, for example, is a good one. League kind of has that. I mean, they encourage you to get skins.
Dota has the crates.
Dota has the crates, and you actually get just items that drop for you.
Yeah, kind of like TF2.
But the way that Dota sort of handles it, and I think this is something League could definitely benefit from, is perhaps from playing the game normally, you could get parts of a skin. And then it would look kind of weird just putting that one part on, so you'd be encouraged to buy the rest of the parts. So you'd look alright. But I don't know if that would work with League's current loadout.
Maybe have kind of like a crafting system. Maybe have magical fluxes and stuff like that, and then you get a random skin.
They have kind of a crafting system already in place with the rune combiner
that no one uses ever.
I used that when I got to level 21, and I converted all my 20 runes into level 30 runes.
Yeah. Besides that, you're like, oh, that's still around.
Yeah, sure.
I remember actually seeing a post on the forums, from one of the people, forum moderators, does anybody still use this? And everybody's like, wait, this is still in the game. And I was sitting there, I'm reading, I'm like, that's pretty funny.
Oh gosh. But either way, I think it certainly would be beneficial for them to have some kind of reward. I mean, this is something we've talked about for a long time.
Player rewards for people dedicated enough to continue playing. Because the thing is, though, you're rewarded for buying skins, and you're rewarded for, you get the points. But there's nothing you never get to, when you finish the game, you never get that thrill of seeing if you've earned something, like a free unlock. Because Team Fortress 2, every time you die, there's that split-second freeze, and then there could be a thing where it switches to a menu, it's like, you've just unlocked, da-da-da. So that's always kind of a thrill of keep me playing. It's like, I want to unlock something now.
And maybe not even a skin, but we talked about this, getting icons or using the achievement tab to give players, summoner icons or avatars.
Or maybe just badges, badges of heroism from the Fields of Justice. Something that doesn't do anything, but it's just kind of nifty to see at the end of the game, and then all of a sudden have an animation that flips up in a card, and it's like, you just received the medal of supporting.
Or even all right, I know we're kind of rambling here, but you know how they have the good behavior things in the corner? What if you got, if you play a lot of games as Demacia or Freylord or Noxus, you could get a banner on the other side. You could say, yeah, he's a good mentor, and he's a Noxian scumbag. Oh.
Swain's finest, I could say.
Swain is an honorable opponent. Oh.
Mundo is a great dancer. What?
I think there are tons of ways that they could certainly incentivize player activity or just playing certain champions they might not always play. Or incentivize them to play champions that they really like to play. But, that's a great question. And, guys, we love to answer questions. We try to get at least one or two in every week. If you have a question for us about the show, about League, about other games, about what we're doing, about what you're doing, about world events, really we'll answer just about anything. We're pretty easy. But send that question into our comment section below. Send it to our email. It's spasticgaming@gmail.com. Or post it on our new Facebook Facebook page. Facebook forums. That'd be a little redundant. Anyway, you were going to say?
Keep an eye out for something coming out later this week. It might be related to some testing of contests.
Ooh.
So, yeah, that's a bad thing we might have a contest this week.
Yes. That's
But
my favorite.
But this has been Water Elemental.
This has been Axis. And,
Happy 4th of July late. Blah, blah, blah.
Happy Canada Day as well. And whatever other holidays there were.
Woo!